This time is from David Platt from Welwyn Hatfield, and the question is, what proportion of UKIP resources and finance would you expect to be spent on elections to our Westminster Parliament as compared to that spent on the EU parliamentary elections? And Tim Condon, please.
Okay, well, can I just say on this question of funding and membership that Alan Bound is in fact supporting my candidacy. Let me tell you something. And Nigel Farage says that the party was low ebb in 2006. Membership in 2006 was higher than it is today. In fact, in the last 3 years, in the last 3 or 4 years, it's fallen by about a third. Just to be clear about these facts, shall we? The question of the relative balance between the 2014 European election, which must happen in 2014, and the general election is, I think, a very difficult one because general election may come before, may come afterwards. My view is I want to make UKIP the biggest party in the 2014 European election. If we achieve that, and we can achieve it, then we should do very well in the general election. The balance between the two has, to some extent, got to be played by ear, but 2014 surely must have priority.
Ladies and gentlemen, membership doesn't come about through putting leaflets through doors or just, fiscal studies and a bit of media. Membership comes about through being able to connect with the people. Now, going around and putting out leaflets and information about joining is all very well. We've got to get out there, make it work, make it happen. It's up to you, the members, to contact people you know and be inspired to contact people you know. Be inspired to want your party to be up there doing the best it possibly can. And without you, without your intuition or someone to lead you and inspire you to do these things, it's never going to happen. So you can sit around all day if you like in the cozy little meetings and listen to people who are talking about fiscal studies and all the other things. But let me tell you, unless you pick a leader who you feel that can inspire you, unless you leave this building today, and if you leave and you're not invigorated by Winston McKenzie, then I don't know what's going to invigorate you.
Well, Tim is right. Membership has fallen sharply in the last year, but I'd remind you, Tim, long before you joined UKIP, in 2003, the man in the front row, John Moran, and I were given a free hand by the then leader to try and build the membership of the party. And we built the membership of the party in 2003 alone by 76%. And that is exactly what I intend us to return to. Steve Crowther, who will take over as Chief Executive, has experience of marketing and sales. We are going to go back to professional call centres, to simple, straightforward messages, to newspaper advertising, and we are going to build this party. What we have to develop is momentum. And when you've got momentum, you've got enthusiasm. And that's when you've got money. As far as the question is concerned, how would you allocate money for a general election or a European election? If I'm in charge, we'll throw the kitchen sink at both.
I want to just start by asking Tim, he's very generously offered to fund his London office. Tim, will you fund it whoever wins? Will you give us a cheque now? I gather you've been going round saying you're going to give the party 100,000. If you believe in this party, Tim, why don't you make a pledge right here and now? We need the money. So why, instead of just tying it to the leadership, will you fund it now?
Am I allowed to answer that directly?
Well, if you can ask directly.
The answer, I'm afraid, is no. And the reason is that expenditure control in this party has been appalling. That there is an overdraft at the moment, despite large amounts of money coming in the last year or so, much of it being spent on one particular election in one particular constituency. Expenditure control in this party has been appalling. That must stop, and will stop under me. And can I also just make clear that, of course, I'm not going to throw £100,000 that I don't necessarily agree with. All right?
Okay. Right. Okay. What I'm going to do now, because obviously Tim has had extra time there. David hasn't quite finished his answer. So what I'll ask is for David to just have another 30 seconds to finish his answer, and then I'll give Winston and Nigel, who have obviously had less time, 30 seconds each to comment if they wish.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I didn't hear most of Tim's answer because Frank was talking to me as well.
Right, well,
I think probably to the floor, okay.
Right.
I think that probably goes to a lot of people. Could he just quickly reiterate what he said?
right. Did anyone else have...
He won't give you the money.
Did anyone else
Unless he's
have...
leader. Right. Okay. Can I just... my second point is on Lord Pearson. Yes, he has done us a great deal of good on the fundraising side. But do not forget that our largest funder the last election is now funding the EU referendum campaign that Malcolm's heavily involved with. And I don't think we can go back to this old boy network or just rely on it all the time. He has done a wonderful job. I'm not knocking it. And I do support the EU referendum campaign 100%. But, you know, let's be realistic. Our biggest funder is gone, and he won't do both, I'm afraid. That's what he said. He's absolutely said that.
Okay, so I'll now give Winston and Nigel another 30 seconds each to comment.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think certain members of the panel hear me so well. The Commonwealth Forum is funding outside our own means and outside of the city. Commonwealth Forum brings together commercial businesses from all over the country who advocate for the Commonwealth. Now, I've already tapped into people who are interested and who have pledged their allegiance to joining my forum. The forum will start in January. There are other sources of income that we can tap into, and that's my pledge to UKIP. Thank you very much.
Can I just deal with 2 points that have been made that are wrong and are scaremongering? We are not overdrawn, Tim, all right? We are not overdrawn. We have no outstanding loans or debts as a party whatsoever. We have a small positive balance in the account at Nextrom House, all right? So please do not listen to that, ladies and gentlemen. It's not true. Secondly, David, our biggest funder has not left us for the EU referendum campaign. You know, please don't say that. It is not true, okay?
Well, I was told by the head of the campaign.
Well, it's not true.
I was told by the head of the campaign.
It is not true. So let's stop scaremongering.
Okay, and
What we do have is a party that is on a sound footing. And I wanted to make that point, Chair.
Okay, well, I think each candidate has sort of basically had 2 bites at the cherry on that question. I hope that everyone has had equal time there and we can move on. The next question I have in, I will ask first of all to Winston Mackenzie. Is from John Belly from Croydon. Do you agree? Do you agree that a weakness with the party is a lack of centrally driven campaigns on anything other than EU membership? How would you resolve this?
Yes, I agree, and that's why the essential direction is Westminster. I was appalled to find during the general election, through people's doors in Tottenham where I stood, leaflets just basically talking about the EU. We had a great contingency of great candidates put forward for the general election, but nobody got in. Why? Because the literature was wrong. Now, if we can't correct that, then how are we supposed to inspire people to come into this party and the general public above all else to understand what we're all about? The essential direction is Westminster. Let's have some more talk about amongst the UKIP members in policy groups about the essential direction, which is Westminster, which is what I'm campaigning on, and which is what I'll push for, which is what I'll communicate with people to be done. Thank you.